Welcome back to another day of the group previews for the NJSIA 2024 baseball season. We are here with Johnny McAdams from Perfect Game. Legendary J Mac is with us to break it down for the rest of the state here as we get ready and set for April 1st as our launch date for the 2024 season. And today we jump into the smaller public schools, Group 1, Group 2. Some awful tough brackets, just like the 3 and 4. It's going to be almost impossible to pick winners, but a lot to talk about. Last year was a pretty north-heavy year on the public side. We'll see who joins Pascack Hills from last year in Group 2. Pequannock won it all in Group 1. Can they repeat? Who could potentially join them? Our sectional champs last year in Group 2, Hanover Park won it in North 2. Rumson Fairhaven took it to the state finals in a 1-0 loss to Pascack Hills as a great central champ. Seneca rode the upset wave that hit the South Jersey Public Schools, and they came through as a 9 seed, I believe, playing all their state playoff games on the road and winning South Jersey Group 2. In Group 1, Woodridge took it in North 2. Point Beach made it back-to-back years as a sectional champ in Central, and Buna took the prize down in South Jersey. And if you thought South Jersey 3 was tough and vicious, wait till we get to South Jersey Group 1. Let's start as far north as we can, though. Group 2 North is an interesting bracket because some of the best players in the state are sitting up in Group 2 North 1, ready to get at it. Pascack Hills, Joey Giordano was the one who was masterful in winning the state title. He's headed to Richmond next year. He's going back to try to repeat. The 2022 champ, Ramsey, and Will Kirk is in some places the number 1, and we don't count Andre Medunio as a Jersey guy for the sake of this, because it is a Jersey family, but he's playing in Florida. So Will Kirk is as good as anybody in the state. Obviously, I want you to talk about him, J-Mac. And
Sure.
Lakeland Regional, Mickey Gilligan. You design a kid who you know is going to be going somewhere big and get drafted and whatever, you come up with a switch-hitting catcher with a cannon, right? Hits bombs from both sides of the plate.
Absolutely.
So let's break that down. Throw in Aiden Ellis at high point, a stud there. And what's going on in North 2 Group 1?
Like you said, Pascack.
Sorry, North 2 Group 2. I'm sorry. North 1 Group 2. I got it backwards.
Pascack Hills obviously won it last year. They got Joey Giordano back, Matt Tortora, and then Kyle Wenkis, too, a young guy who's pretty good. So they got some guys who are coming back with regards to it. So they're going to be tough. Like we said, William Kirk, we're not going to count Andre with regards to it. And depending on what you're seeing, Chris Lavonis is a guy we'll mention later. William Kirk, Chris Lavonis for the best arm in there. But a 6'2", 6'3" left-hander with pitchability that's now still starting to get stronger. It's going to gain velo. He fits that mold of Kevin McMullen coming into New Jersey and grabbing the guys from Virginia. Billy Price, similar guy from a couple years ago, that was from Del Barton. Consensus, his pitchability, his ability to throw the changeup in any count, just makes him one of those guys where, all right, everybody throws hard nowadays in the major leagues. We know that, but you still have to be able to pitch and throw strikes, and his pitchability is just outstanding. Ramsey, too. Luke Monaco, Maris commit. They're going to be good with regards to that. Like we mentioned, Aiden Ellis continues to get better with regards to it. Rumson Fairhaven, obviously 1-0 loss last year. I think they're going to be good, well coached and so forth too. They did lose a ton, but they'll be in the mix with regards to it for sure.
And we didn't mention, and we'll get in trouble for not mentioning the number 1 seed last year in the regular season. Glen Rock's going to be pretty good again, too, right? Because they were young last year, and you got young Spitaleri is a stud. It's a tough bracket, but can they make some more waves this year?
Sure, and that experience, I mean, like you said, I always discount coaching. Not discount it. I always weigh heavily on coaching and experience. So those younger guys that have gotten experience from a 21-6 squad, number 1 seed last year, I mean, it's only going to benefit them. So obviously, they've gotten bigger, faster, and stronger themselves. So they're going to be in the mix there as well. No discounting. Obviously, they were the number one seed and so forth. But yeah, I mean, listen, finding depth on the mound, new guys, newcomers, whether it's freshmen, transfers, so forth, and that experience weighs heavily as you kind of matriculate through the tournament.
Now, Pequannock won it in North One last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be Joe Sabbath is not back, obviously. He's up at Rhode Island, I believe.
Yep.
Um, but a lot is still. You got Nick Werner with the legendary glove spike after winning the state title on the mound last year. So when you're returning the guy who got the last out in the state finals, that's again something you can't overlook. To me, it looks like Pompton Lakes is probably the best team up there in Group One.
Yeah.
Nicky Lasatello, and a lot of young guys last year. Is that how you see it?
Yep. I had Pompton Lakes just slightly above Pequannock. I mean, they returned a bunch from a 21-8 team, experience. Younger guys got a taste of it. Now it's kind of their turn, let's say, with regards to it. So I envision those guys kind of. Pequannock's still going to be there, obviously, but Pompton Lakes looks like just from a sheer talent standpoint or depth standpoint that they're probably going to be the team to beat up there.
North 2 Group 1 was Woodridge's last year. Lost a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but certainly was Sal Catanzaro. Sorry, Sal. And a couple other guys, they're going to be strong again. Um, New Providence is always good, even though their record sometimes hides it because of the schedule they play.
Mm-hmm.
They're headed back, trending back in the direction of the section champ squads they've had. To me, I'm going to lean towards Dayton. Frank Dasty
Yep.
is a stud and getting better by the second as well. The Pete and Michael Ramirez returning, always tough, but I'm going to say that I'm going to lean towards Dayton this year.
Yep, I had a star next to them too. Like you said, Woodridge lost a lot, but listen, they're always going to be in the mix with regards to it. Dayton with Frank Dasty, having that guy was always helpful, at least for that section part. And then listen, once you get to the end, it's anybody's ball game. Who has a good day, who's struggling, who's healthy, and stuff like that. So I would agree there with Dayton.
And in Group 2, that's been Caldwell. A couple of years ago, it was Hanover Park last year. Hanover Park had the stud pitchers, Toby Smith and Joey Lapinto, both of which have moved on to college. Caldwell is still got some stuff returning. Is this the year for a sleeper in North 2? And I put a little I got Ridgefield Park and Shea Lacino, and they're always going to be a challenge, and they might make a run at this year.
Yep.
I put a little star next to Bernard's this year as one of my sleepers, because I think we've talked about pitching being priority, and the North Jersey Slim Reaper, Evan Hokley,
Yep.
is one of those like wizards on the mound. Ball does whatever he wants it to do, and Charlie Ganella. So that's like two stud pitchers back from a team that was good, not great last year, but trending in the right direction. Could they pull it off, or if not, who?
I think, like you said, Bernard's was a star next to me, or a circle in my notes here too. Like I said, that two pitcher, the 1-2 punch is tough, especially too now when you get guys that are able to throw multiple pitches for strikes. It's tough on a high school hitter, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you could go there. I like that to make a run. It's almost a crapshoot because people have lost pieces, Hanover Park and so forth too. But I mean, let's ride with Bernard's and say let's make a run.
I like it. I like it, and they'll like it too. So let's see. Central One has been Point Beach's bracket the last couple years.
Yeah,
Was Middlesex's bracket it seemed like the decade before that. Middlesex fits that team that's always going to be tough on paper because they got
sure.
the Middlesex magic and the style of play that Coach Nastasi plays. They got the younger Kozak kid, Chris is a good ball player. Shore is going to be has been solid the last couple of years. You got the Stefanelli's back healthy and in one piece. Robert Stock, Joey Santee. To me, Point Beach, it still runs through the beach. Beach ball. Uh, they've got too much, I think. Ryan Doyle, Tommy Conroy, Noah Bannock, guys who really have gotten Lubach, guys who got some experience the last couple years. I'm going to still
Agreed.
go with Beach. Probably over Middlesex just because, but again, it certainly wouldn't surprise me if any of those three teams were the winners. Probably would surprise me if the rest of the field did.
Sure, I had Point Beach there too as well, like you said. Tommy Conroy and Noah Bannock and Liam Dolan and Brian Mastercat and all those other guys. I mean, it's just they're 23-6 last year. It probably runs through the beach again. Just too much depth within the lineup, multiple pitchers that can throw innings and so forth. Noah Bannock's a younger guy that can continue to obviously get better and so forth too. So I'm going to go there as well with you.
Central 2 is tough as always. Um, Rumson is going to be good as always. Parker Shenman, among others, but they might, they got a lot of challengers this year. Whether you go with probably the favorite in my mind, Governor Livingston,
Yep.
Anthony Denora, Matty Diskin is a stud, and Matt Kasuda is back. He just the kid is just massively strong now and just hits
Oh,
bombs like in his sleep. Manasquan, good luck if you go up against Colin Condon. Um, South River has one of the best players in New Jersey in the country
yep,
at his age group in Julius Rosado. Probably not the depth as the other teams do, but you know, Rosado is the guy who can win by himself almost.
yep,
Um,
absolutely.
or can change a game by himself. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Spotswood, it's not Casey Comiskey anymore, but we got a younger Comiskey there who's
we do.
doing big things on his own. You can talk about him. Bordentown is tougher than your father's Bordentown, I guess. Between, Elijah Tradigo on the mound, Luke Geyer is a stud. You got Ocean
hmm
Township. Benny Robinson is a beast up the middle. Connor Tongring behind the plate. So give me your scouting report on Central too, because it's always a challenge.
Yeah, like you said, Matthew Diskin at Governor Livingston's healthy again. He's always really tough on the mound. Getting Kusada to come back from St. Joe's Metuchen, very reminiscent of those days where Governor Livingston had a couple good years where they had Drew Compton and Danny Soretti and so forth too. And like you said, I think they're the favorite right now, but you could see a run where, listen, who knows if they get matched up with South River early and Julius Rosado loses one and pitches that game and so forth too. So you never know. There's a lot of young guys with the other guys, other teams that you mentioned in the mix as well. But I'm going to go Governor Livingston just from experience with regards to it. Matthew Diskin, Matthew Casada can change a game as well, like you said. Has just I remember him when he was younger, and now to where he's the size of him, literally. Uh, he's just a physical beast as well, so can change a game in a swing of a bat, literally.
Yeah, but I tell you, I like spots, but I like Carter Comiskey. Kid
Sure.
has worked hard to get his body in the position. He's already committed to Seton Hall
Yep.
to be an impact guy in the Big East. Something about those lefties, they're
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
tough, right? They can just shut you down, and he can swing it too.
Yep.
Not maybe not swing it as good as Casey, but pretty close.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And then you, like you said, mentioned Elijah Tragago and Luke Guire at Bordentown. They could give somebody a game as they kind of matriculate through. Elijah can beat somebody that may be favored or so forth too if he's on that particular day as he's continued to get better throughout his career as well.
Yep. The South Jersey Family Feud, Group Two. You got Haddon Heights is always, I
Yep.
mean, Caden Bodine might not be there anymore, but Jake Grice is pretty darn good up the middle. Drew
No,
Harris on the
Drew
mound.
Harris.
West Stepford with Cole McKenna. They're always going to be tough. Haddonfield, Griffin Clark behind the plate, is becoming a beast.
Yep. Bruce Parker.
Bruce Parker might be like the ultimate laser show in New Jersey. Just watch. I mean, the kid, it's different when the ball comes off his bat. Um, Maybe it's a Cinnamin's year. Michael Kulik speed in
Yep.
the outfield. McCloskey, Noah Harvey up the middle is pretty darn good. So what do we like in South too? Because that's going to be one of those like Central three where you got a lot of schools that can win it.
Yeah, and like you said, Cinnaminson, I think, was a 3 seed last year, so they got some experience with regards to it. They do have some players and some depth with regards to it. I had in Heights. I didn't want to categorize them as a sleeper, but maybe a little bit underrated with Drew Harris and Jake Grice. Just their coaching staff always does a good job getting them in the right place and so forth too. And we go back to pitching. Jake Grice, epitome of a South Jersey baseball player, tough guy, always grinds out at bats and so forth too. So I don't know if I'm going to go sleeper there. Like you said, Haddonfield's got Griffin Clark now, and who's kind of emerging with regards to his physicality. And then you got Bruce Parker. It's going to be who has the best guy on the mound, I would say, because the lineups, the position guys are what seem to be the, let's say, the better pieces of with regards to it. There's no monster arm, let's say,
I,
down there.
I got one for you because I don't want to miss the kid in particular. Last year, Seneca won that. Braden Davis was the most dominant player in any bracket probably around. He like whether he was hitting, pitching, fielding.
Absolutely.
I see one team that could potentially fit that mold a little bit, and that's Will Grayson down at Oakcrest.
Yep. Yep. He's
Um,
another one. He's continued to get better. There's now upper 80s, low 90s going to Wagner. Feel for spin. So it's that day too. I don't know if they have the depth per se, but he could beat somebody.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Wagner recruiting some studs in Jersey now. And on a related note, Coach Kroger is
Kroger.
doing a great job up there as always. We miss him here, but we like having you as replacement. So South one,
Yep.
like whoever ends up as the 1 seed probably will have no chance because it's South one,
Yep.
right? Let's scroll through the usuals because yeah, Pennsville with Luke Wood is always going to be tough. When your best player and slash outfielder is also a stud lefty pitcher.
Yep.
Audubon, Tyler Wiltsey is as good an athlete as there is anywhere. Ryan Zimmer's also a stud behind the plate. The Woodies, Woodstown, when you still, again, it goes back to when you've got a guy who threw the last pitch to win a state title still on your team.
Yep.
Brent Williams is incredibly underrated. Shalleck, it's been a couple of years, so it's time for another Pokrovsky to be the man, and now it's Luke.
Yep.
But they had a ton of young guys last year on the mound. Paulsboro, they're always tough. Buna was the district or section champ last year, but we can't overlook, and I think might be the favorite is Pittman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least as good as anybody, right? Stephen
I
Devaney,
agree.
Hudson Rue, the
Yep.
Sharkies, so I don't know if they're the favorite over Audubon or Pennsville, but
Hmm.
they got to be in the conversation and
I agree.
certainly good enough to win it. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen? And also, as I ask this, realize that whatever we think is going to happen will not happen.
No, of course. And like you said, I mean, Pittman with the younger guys and so forth now is their kind of, I don't know if you want to go favorite. Pennsville with, I mean, Luke Wood, Connor Starn, Peyton O'Brien, Cohen Patrutz. So they got some depth there. Autobahn, Wiltsey's an absolute hitting machine. The one kid, Ryan Zimmer, obviously uncommitted kid behind the plate, who also kind of doubles up sometimes and throw and pitches as well. Nick Caligaros, a kid who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have crazy stuff, but if you look back at the numbers and look who he pitched against last year, was really, really good on the mound in certain spots and can compete and is always going to compete. So I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. Autobahn is pretty good. Pennsville, Luke Wood. I would say Pennsville, Autobahn kind of in that same mix, and then you can kind of go Pittman right there. I'm going to say just from experience standpoints.
Absolutely. So there you have it for Group 1 and Group 2. If you like what you heard, it's Mike Olshin. If you don't like what you heard, it's Johnny McAdams. Send your email to the appropriate place. We will be back as we scroll through the week with certainly the big boys, non-publics, and a look at some of the guys that J-Max saw over the off season, the sleepers, some guys we probably missed during the previews. But we will be back later in the week. We appreciate you tuning in. It's Mike Olshin, Johnny McAdams, Jersey Baseball Nation. Thanks for watching.